Right. So this is the home page that we have here. Let's add a heading to it. Alright. So this is the heading that we have just added. So yeah, this is the home page. Now we have this registration page. We have this login page. So let's go with the login page here. And now the name was ABC and the password was 123. So we have logged in. Right. Welcome. So now the next thing that we would want to do here is when we'll just log into it, right? It will say welcome and then the name, the username, right? So it will have two things. We'll see how to make that work. Then we can insert the data which is working properly, and we can see the data that we have here. Then we can even update the data from here, right? And then we need to let this log out work. So now before that, let's do a few things here. Okay. So now let's talk about sessions. Sessions and cookies, right? Just let me share my screen. So here's my screen. Now, what I was saying that whenever we make a request from our web browser to the web server, right? Whenever we make this request, what happens is the server forgets every request and creates a new one, right? Like for example, we have one user number one, right? So user number one is logged in, right? Logged in, and he does all the work and all that. Then let's consider user number two logs in just after that. Then what happens? The server completely forgets user one and all its data corresponding to it, and now it gets to the user two here. So what would happen to that user one? All its data has been lost. So what happens is there is a way we can make the server remember or track the user, which user is using, or after the user logs out, the server can keep the data stored, right? Otherwise what happens is if user one is logged out and user two enters, then all the data of the user one has been erased completely. So we don't want that. What we want is we want our data to be saved, and so that the user can use it later on. So what we use here is, and in order to make the server remember this, what we do is we use one thing that we uses cookies, and another thing that we use is session, right? So they both basically do one thing, that they track the users, whether the user is logged in or not, right? And if the user is logged in, then let's say we have that menu.html page, right? So when we log in, that menu.html page will get open, right? So this what happens in this cookies and sessions. So here we are going to learn sessions because it's comparatively better than cookies, right? Okay, so let's go about a session and how does it work. Right, so we have this session here. Now, what we are supposed to do is, okay, so before that, let's understand the difference between session and cookie so that it will be better for us to understand. Yeah. So basically, their work is just simple. That, for example, user one has logged in, right, and the data will get stored in the server user one, corresponding to user one. So, so if the user one has logged in, then its data will be stored in the server, web server. This is the web server, and this is the web browser. Right. So now, what happens is, and this will be only for a while until the user leaves the website, right, or logs out of it. So a session is basically a temporary information interchange, right, between let's say two or more computers and devices, right, and the user. Like, let me just write it: interaction between computer and, interaction of information change. Yeah. So now what happens is, and when we talk about cookies, so what cookies are? Cookies are basically small pieces of data, right? In this web browser's term. Yeah. So what it is a small piece of data which is sent from the website and stored in the user's computer. It is stored in the user's computer, and the user's web browser, it's stored in the user's web browser. We can say that because it's computer only. And while the user is browsing, right, so all the data gets stored in the user's web browser. Now, but session, what session does, session is stored on the server side, right, and the cookie is stored in the side user side. And session can store a large amount of data, but cookie cannot store a good amount of data. It can store a small amount of data only, right? And session provides us more security, more than cookies. And another thing that session has is it can hold values of multiple variables, right? But a cookie cannot do such that, right? Another thing that we have here is, yeah, a session is available only until a browser is open, right? For that particular period of time. And but the cookie has one feature, which is we can set the timing for a cookie, a corresponding ourselves. For example, let's say we have logged into a website, right, and the cookies has been set to, for example, let's say 1 minute. So after 1 minute it will just log us out of the, the period of our searching. So this was cookies. We can specify a particular time in it. Yeah, and then comparatively session is more reliable than cookies. So these are just basic differences. Now let's see how to, like, what's the code to create a cookie or a session, let's say, or to create a session here. So what we are going to do here is, let's go to the NetBeans only. Now what we want to do is, when we have this, okay, so what we want is, when a data, like when the login information has been checked, and we are supposed to get to the, just let me check which file do we have that code. The default pages we have is next. yeah, we have this login.java here. Now what we are going to do here is, as soon as the user logs in, right, and for example the user enters his data and clicks on the login button, right, so what should happen is, it should take it to the menu.html page if the record matches. Not just this, what we are going to do is we are going to create a session here. In that session, what it's going to do is, so http session is a class name. Now, and we have created an object of it. So here we have created a session, and now let's say our session. Let me write it and we'll discuss. Un, xn. So now, what's all this? So this request.get session, this method, what it does, it checks whether the user has created a session or not. What it does, it checks whether the user has created a session or not, right? And if the object corresponding to the user is created, right, the session will use it. If there is always like an object already present, then the session will use it, right? So what request.get session does, it firstly checks whether a session is already created or not. If not, then it will create one, right? So now let's see how can we create an object of a session and we can store in it, right? So this is how we are using it. Okay, so one more thing here that we are going to use is, we have, okay, so this thing is really important because we have set a session corresponding to it, and we have yeah, so it's just, we are just mapping it to it. For example, we have a un string, right, and we are mapping it with the name of the user, right? We are just mapping it to the user's name. Now what we are going to do here is, when will yeah, so when this will happen, a session will get created. Now what we are going to do here is, so let's just continue it. Let's just save it. Okay, so one more thing that we can do here is, okay, alright, so now what we can do is, um, logout won't work right now because we haven't added a code to it. It's just going to add some changes here so that our website will look better and all the codes will work properly. Alright, so we have this home page. Now we'll go to this login page, and for example, we have ABC and then we have 123, right? We'll log into it. And what are we going to see is, yeah, so here we are at the menu page. Now what we are going to do is we are going to just code this menu page in a Java form, right, in the form of Java page. Right, so we have this menu.html page. Yeah, so just let's code it in the form of a Java page, because that will be the best way we will be using our session. Menu page, right? And we will click on the next. Yes, we want the information to be added to the web.xml. Now let's just copy another all this from here to the menu.java page. so that we won't be needing any extra. Now we'll name it as menu, and we won't be needing this. And we won't even be needing this try catch here. Delete all this. Yeah. So we are just going to map everything with this menu.java page. So that this print writer out of response. Now what we are going to do is we are going to write the HTML page here, and we are going to write the code here. We'll see how does it work properly here. Now, one thing that we are going to do here is, so once the session has been created, what we are going to do is, this is the menu.java page, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to get the session. So we are just getting the session, and now what we are going to do is we are going to store it inside a, and we are going to typecast it session dot get attribute, right? So the attribute that we had set was un. Yeah, it will work through the whole session, right? Since once we have set it like un, it will be like in all the pages. It will work in all the pages. Right. So now what we are going to do is if s1 is not null, right? What does it mean? That if a session has been created, why are we writing s1 is not null? That if s1 is somehow null, then we don't want this page to get executed or this page to get created, and we'll just send it directly back to the response dot send redirect. Just trying to make our website better. Let's say we have this index.html. Let's say login.html. Right now, if but what if the session is not null? What we want is we want to create a, then we have a body tag. We don't need a head tag all the time. We can even work without having it, but we'll need it when creating a CSS style sheet, right? Let's just write it for that. This body tag, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a heading page. Let's see. In this, what we are going to write is welcome. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to use this S1 here. So now you'll see how does this work. We just need to map everything else to this page. So in this, what we are supposed to add is, okay. So let me go to the update page here. What we are going to do is, okay, it was in the show page. Yeah, we're just going to copy this, the list portion here, so that we can navigate through the pages. Let's say menu.html, insert.html, update. So let's delete this menu.html from here, and we'll just add menu, right? Because we are just referring to the menu.java page here. Now for that to work, what we are going to do is, yeah, so this is fine till now. Yeah, let's map other pages as well. For example, we have this insert.html, and what we are going to do is we are going to add menu at this point, right? That's it. Now another page that we have is insert, then login, then menu. Okay, menu won't be useful now. Now we have this show.java page. Right. So what pages do we have now? We have a show page, we have a menu page here, then we have this insert page, and then we have update page, right? So we'll go to the update HTML and let's see whether it works or not. Yeah, we are supposed to write here just menu. That's it. I guess all pages have been mapped properly. So let's see. Let's just close it. And what we are going to do is we are going to run the project again. Let's see how does it work. Okay, so now let's log in and we'll just ABC 1 2 3. Then we'll log in. Let's see which page pops up. Right, we can see this menu page. Okay, it's menu.html. We need to map this thing as well. So we'll go to this login.java page and it should take us to the menu page. Click on this login. Okay, so now what we can see here is that we can see we have welcome ABC with the name here, right? So this is our menu.java page that we have just mapped so that we can create the session and use the name as well, right? So what we have done here is, right, we have just the session code here, and if the session is already present or is already created corresponding to a name, right? So what happens is that session is used currently, otherwise the session is created. And now what we are going to do is, okay, that's the reason why welcome is working here. Now what we want is, another thing that we want is, yeah, so it's all is working properly, right? We have this insert page, home page. Okay, yeah, so it won't work okay, there's some mapping that we still have to do in the insert page. Let's see. We have this insert page, then we have the show page, and then we'll go to this home. Yeah, it's showing that the same home page. If we'll go to insert, then we'll go to home. Okay, so the home is not correctly mapped. No, it's not this one. It's the insert one, right? Okay, which page is that? Just let me check. With this insert page, right? And we'll go to this update page. It's working properly. When we go to home page, it's working properly. Show page to home page, it's working properly. Insert page to home page, it's not working then. Because insert page, okay, we have already mapped it here, but maybe because the server is a little slow this time, that's why it's not working properly. Otherwise, we have mapped it here. Let's see whether we have any problem. Okay, so apart from that, what we need to do is we need to have this. We need to map this logout page now, right? We need to map this logout page. So what we are going to do is let's create a logout.java page. log out. Right. Let's add its information to it. Now let's just copy some of this from here to here. Right. And we won't need all this page here, all this code here. What we are going to need is just right. Let's say response dot send redirect, and we'll take it to the home.html page. Right. And let's say here. Alright, so this was it. When now let's so let's connect all the pages to it. For example, we have this menu.java page. Now we are going to just write log out here. So menu page is mapped now. Now about the show page, it is going to map all the pages with this logout page so that it will work properly. Now another thing that we have is we have this insert page, set.html, logout. Right. Another page that we have here is we have insert, we have show, we have update. Yeah, so this is the logout. Right. Now let's check whether it's working properly or not. So update is working properly. Okay, send redirect is working properly. Now about show. No problem with this one either. This is working good. Right, here is insert page, here the show page. Okay, it's getting in. Now we have this logout page. When we'll click on this logout, it will take us to the homepage. Okay, we are supposed to write the index page now. Not responding correctly. We'll see later. Yes, let's register with the name. For example, let's say we have Rohan, and its password is, let's say, 123 only, and his roll number is, let's say, 6. Register him. Right, now let's log in with the name Rohan and the password 123. So if all this data matches, like what it says welcome Rohan. Right, now when we'll go to this page, insert page, there's some problem in the mapping. Right, where there's insert.html, we have this show page, right, with this update page, and we have this logout page. So when clicking on this logout, it will take us to the home page actually. Okay, okay. So let's write the index.html. Okay, so when we'll click on this logout, it will take us to the index.html page. Right. So now we can see that we click on this login. So what's happening is we have Rohan logged in, right? And we'll try to insert his data and all. Now what we can do is we have his roll number and name, right? So what we can do is we can directly insert it We don't need to use that here. We can just insert it directly. For example, we are going to insert.html and consider that we delete this name and roll number column, right? And then we'll go to this insert.java page. We'll just need the sessions username and id, so that will be enough for us. Okay, so let's see whether it works here or not. For example, let's go to the login.java page. So now have a close look here that we have two attributes here. One is for username and one is for roll number, right? Let's do, let's say, right. Now what we are going to do here is, yeah, S2 is the user password, right? But we want username. Extract from this. And what we are going to do is rs dot get string. Why are we writing rs dot get string here? Because we need the roll number here, right? Okay. And let's see whether it works properly or not. Let's index is 3. Right, so this is our login page. We have set two attributes. One is username and one is roll number. So now let's make it work with the, yeah, insert.html page. So let's just clear it from here. We are just optimizing our code and our project so that we won't have to work. We don't have to insert many datas here. We'll just be fine with few datas only. Right, now what we are going to do is we'll go to this insert.java page. Now here what we are going to do is we'll write http session, and the session equals to request dot get session, right. Now what we are going to do is we have okay, so we have these strings here. Literally we use from here string x1 equals to, right, um, string session dot get attribute, right? So this is what we are going to do, and the attribute that we had was username. Another thing that we are going to use here is for the roll number. For the roll number we have this s2, right? So now what we are going to do is these marks will get automatically inserted from our login, from our insert marks page, right? We'll see how that happens here. For example, yeah, let's log out from here. Okay, why isn't it logging out? All right, so let's log in with the, okay, log in with the name Rohan. We'll check the database as well. We have the name Rohan and the password 123. Let's log in it. Now let's insert some data. So okay, we'll go to the insert.html page, and I guess we don't have this name and roll number here, so the changes haven't reflected from this page to this page. Yeah, now it has been reflected. Now what we are going to do is let's see whether the show has any data or not. It doesn't have any data right now. When we'll go to this insert page, now who's logged in right now? Rohan is logged in right now. So let's add his physics marks, then chemistry's marks, then maths marks. And we'll click on this insert. The data has been entered. We didn't enter any name or roll number here. But when we'll click on this show, we can see that we have Rohan's data here. You can see that we didn't add any name and roll number this time. It just took it from the session, right? It just took it from the session and it just displayed it here. Right? So this is how session is really useful for us. Now, even if you would want to update all the data, we can update it, and we can code this update code as well. Let's say 6. Right? For example, the data is about Rohan here. Right? We can update it from here as well. So we can log out from here, and this is how we can make it work. So, any doubts till now? This was it. We just learned about sessions today, and how can we use it to keep our data secure. So we'll be starting the CSS part from Monday. We'll be starting the